Hey, good morning. I'm doing good today.
Good.
Yeah, go right ahead. Those were truly left from this morning, so they're not old. So,
You bought them over the weekend.
yeah, I left those here on Friday. It's no big deal. Morning, team.
Morning.
Apparently Shannon's being lazy today and can't be here. I don't know what her deal is, so,
Called in the 18.
yeah, so she, morning, Andrew. So I don't know what she's doing, but tell me some wins. We've got George here to talk a little bit about home warranties, and then we're gonna have a little conversation about what everybody learned at family reunion this week. So tell me about some wins. Nate, I think you had one that you just said that I took care of for you just a little while ago.
So I had my first client that I sold property to that decided to list it with me. So that was exciting.
That's the one we talked about yesterday, right? Do you want to say anything about that to kind of give them maybe at least a knowledge of what that area might mean?
So the reason that the clients got a little spooked with the land is on the northeast side of Springfield, like from the airport on up to Fantastic Caverns. There was some industrial company that decided to dump industrial waste in the ground instead of doing it properly, disposing of it properly. And there's a potential for TCE contamination in the aquifer in the area water supply. So the clients I had bought 20 acres, we're gonna build a house. I guess the research that they did, and I didn't find this out firsthand, but they told me that it is possible to filter that out with a proper filtration system, but they still felt uncomfortable with it, so decided to list the property. And it's two 10-acre parcels just off of Norton Road, just to the west of Kansas Expressway. Really a beautiful piece of property. City Water is not far from there. The next parcel over, City Water touches that parcel, so it's certainly possible for someone to bring City Water over to that property. I don't know what the expense would be, but it's certainly possible.
So just so you guys are aware, if you get anything up in that area, it might be worth doing a soil test, some of those things, just to know what you're getting into. Okay?
Yeah.
What else?
I'm not sure that a soil test.
No, that soil test we do that, but yeah, make sure that if we got a well, that we're checking the well water to make sure that we're not having contaminations in those.
And I think at a minimum, out of courtesy to a buyer, just at least advising them that it is a possibility. I kind of feel bad that I didn't even think about that. I had read the article.
When was it? When was the?
I mean, it was like in the 70s or 80s that they were doing it. And there's a big lawsuit about it now. And supposedly the Missouri Department of Natural Resources was aware of it for many years before they even disclosed it to the public.
Do they have a?
Wells are testing fine, then you would think their water is fine, right? I mean, because
Yeah,
I know with heavy rain, things can come in from the soil with the wells necessarily, but mostly the problem with wells is that they sit. And that's when the E. coli really comes in. So really, honestly, if their well is fine, if it happened in the 70s, wouldn't they be fine at this point?
no, because I think it's unaffected by groundwater or rain or anything, but I will say
Interesting.
there's different levels of aquifers in the soil. So like someone that has a well that's 300 feet deep may have contamination, but someone that decides to drill a well 500 feet may not have contamination in their water.
Did they end up seeing, or is there a map on how far the contamination?
When I was Googling it last night and researching it a little bit more, and there is a map that shows where wells have tested positive for TCE.
Just what they know
And
of.
then what level it is. And it's a big area. Like I said, it's all the way from the airport all the way up to Fantastic Caverns. So just anywhere in that northwest of
And I could tell people who lived
area.
out there in the 80s, 90s.
Willard and-
Yeah, and honestly, my dad lived not very far at all from there and had a well and lived there for 30 or 40 years, but
Yeah, I was like, I saw around theirs. Can you send me that, please?
yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, what'd you find?
So anyway, just a heads up for you guys. All right, what other kind of wins we got this week? Listings, buyers, under contracts, closings? All
I had a question not related to that.
right, what do you got?
If someone was under contract and the deal dies, and there's a mutual release, do you still need to upload the documents to command?
No.
Okay.
Because there's no reason for compliance because the deal has just gone away.
Okay,
So it's not like you're getting paid on it.
okay, thank
I
you.
will say, the ranch that allowed me to buy my house, she called me this week. Her husband passed away unfortunately this year, and she's decided the ranch is too much for her. It is 43-acre ranch. That is the biggest sale I've ever had. So we are getting to list it again and move grandma and I will be doing a referral for her in Quincy. So it's a 3-in-1 based off of the 2-sided deal that bought me my house a year ago.
Just
So-
because Shannon's not here and she would say things like this. So how do you think that happened, Danielle? Do you think that that happened because you weren't in touch with your client, or do you think that happened because you were?
Well, I'm gonna have to say that it probably happened because I maintained contact with them. We have been actually longtime friends from Colorado. That's how I got it to begin with. When she saw I moved to Missouri and she was seeing the land properties I was posting, she could feed her horses here for free and save $3,000 a month by moving to Missouri. So she did. And, at this point, we're still friends. She's like, you're my home gal, so I gotta call you. She called me from an unknown number because she changed her number and I had no idea who was calling me. I called back and I'm like, this is Jessie, right? So, and she's like, yes, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I maintained contact.
Hey, that's your new tagline, Danielle, the home gal.
Yeah, could be your home gal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would have to say Shanna, not Shanna. It's because I maintain contact.
Did I say it wrong? Oh. Oh, you're-
It's just you're not Shanna.
My win is, I went to Not Yo Grandma's bingo like in November or December or something like that, and they put you in tables, and I was just making conversation with someone. Told her I was a realtor, we exchanged information, and I just told her to put all her info in there, and then she recently messaged me that, she wants advice on what to do with her house, so we have a listing appointment tomorrow.
Bingo.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Okay, I have
That's very poignant, and we've
Good
talked,
job.
just a real quick side note, that's very poignant. She didn't necessarily put herself in the way of business, but ultimately she did, and it is gonna pay off. And she was just out having fun one night. So don't think just because you're out with family or whatever, I don't want you to get up from the table and go leave your family there. But if you happen to have that conversation, while you're paying the bill,
Mhm.
I don't want you to say, hey, you guys hang out and say, so what do you guys have for dinner tonight? That looks delicious. By the way, I'm a realtor. Don't take it that far, but I mean, it just inadvertently happened and now it's led to a listing appointment.
And really, it was because I looked her up on Facebook and I friended her on Facebook and I've commented on her stuff and she follows my social media. So I think that just the fact that I stayed connected,
Mhm.
like Danielle, that
Yep.
just makes a huge difference.
Because she knows you care.
Gonna-
I have another one that I just thought of. I've been bad. I did bold in the summertime and the whole idea was to go up and talk to people that you just randomly see. And I really haven't done much of that, but I was at Costco a few days ago and a guy commented about my car. And so we're both walking into Costco and I just start talking to him and he says he does concrete. And at the time I needed help with a concrete project for a under contract that I had. Got to talking to him a little bit and got his information and then got to talking about real estate and he's potentially wanting to buy a house and I got his information, set him up with a search. So I'm like, okay, that was cool. So I'm kind of on a little bit of a high and then I get out, I'm walking out from Costco and there's someone else that's got a really cool car that's parked next to mine. And I start talking to them about their car and we start talking about real estate and they're looking for a house as well. Already pre-qualified and I got their information to help them find out.
Now, Nate, were those conversations difficult? Or did you have to work at those or did that just happen?
Well, those just happened, but I feel like sometimes you would have to work at
I'm
it.
really sorry, not on the camera. And I'm purposely not on the camera just so she can wonder what I'm doing. Because this is being recorded and I'm
Needed it
sure,
on video forever.
and I'm sure that she will at some point listen to it. So, what else? Any other wins before we start talking to George about why you guys need to have home warranties on your property?
I went to a chamber function yesterday and got asked for a business card because her son needs to buy a house.
Nice.
Awesome. How's I know, I can't ask you, what's the rate today, Sarah? How are rates looking right now?
I will tell you, this is the first time in a week and a half I've seen plus on mortgage bonds. Mortgage bonds have, at least when I got up this morning, the only update I've gotten is they have a plus sign, which means rates are going negative. So that's a good sign because it's been
Been a bad week.
It's
Yeah.
been bad. So I'm hoping by the time I get to the office Mary Habib will explain it all away and hopefully we're on an upswing.
Okay, good. Any questions for Sarah about lending or anything with the market or any of that stuff right now?
One thing you all should know, because Fannie Mae and Freddie are changing this, I think in May. Up until now, you had a 6-month seasoning before you could resell a property with a home on it. It's going to 12 months. So you have to own that property for 12 months before you can sell it, if you have a loan on it.
Federal, by the way, or is that USA Mortgage out of curiosity?
No,
Because
that's Freddie and Fannie. Freddie
the other
Mae and-
agent said she'd never encountered that, so.
It's new.
It's new.
It's new. We just got told at
Ah.
our meeting last week, and it's not effective yet.
No, but even the
It's coming.
6-month thing, she had never encountered, so.
Oh, yeah, no, I've had 2 houses that I've ran into that one.
Interesting, okay.
That they have to own for
Not
6
federal,
months.
quasi.
And a lot of times what I find is it's realtors who purchase a property and flip it, and they just didn't realize that there's a
Yeah.
6-month
And that's,
seasoning.
and I want to make sure everybody hears that,
Yeah.
I thought
that
it was 90 days.
if you've got, it's been 6 months, yeah, if you've got an investor that, is wanting to, they've got great credit and they want to take the loan out and get it, and they're gonna go in and, flip it because they've got the cash to do the repairs and they're gonna flip it, well, hey, by the way, whoa, pump the brakes, pal, you gotta own this thing for a year.
Well, and that
I think
also, that also.
No. Freddie
For
Mae
anything.
that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's, so it's,
If you have a loan on the property, you
Yes.
must own it for 12 months.
These
before you
guys
can
bought
sell
it in December, they've already flipped it beautifully and are ready to sell it, and
well, if they bought it in December, they're still at the 6 months.
Did you say it was a
That
house?
was
whenever they bought it, I don't know, but
With
it's
a
not
loan.
filed, but yeah.
With
There's not gonna be able to turn it
If
over.
you make a purchase
If
with
they buy it
with a loan,
cash,
then it's
that's
12 months.
different.
I believe
Well,
it's
yeah,
May
but no
1st.
matter what.
Well,
If they buy a loan, they need it.
Sarah, that is also for
Hey
like,
guys, the ones online can't hear when we're talking here, buddy. Sorry.
and that's also like, if someone, so I have a seller that is a flipper and he buys a house and then sells it pretty much 2 or 3 months after he's done flipping it.
Can't happen unless it's cash.
Or he
Yes,
bought cash?
He was cash, he bought it cash, but whenever there's a buyer. that
Because he
is
bought it cash, that
FHA,
shouldn't apply.
But FHA doesn't allow, they have to own it for 6 months if it's FHA, if the buyer is FHA,
Yeah, that's true.
based on flip. rules. So if you guys are ever buying a flip, you need to make sure that the owner, the seller has had it for at least 6 months if they're a government loan.
And they pull permits, just throwing that one out there.
As soon as you get title work back, you'll know.
So they say something
Yeah.
online?
Christy
But
Cross did.
Sarah, does this rule, the 6 months rule that's turning into a year, does that prevent them from selling it? Or does it prevent someone new from getting financing on it?
If they have financing on it, it's going to prevent someone else from getting finance on it because you can't have a new contract, which we just ran into this. You can't have a contract dated less than 12 months since the prior purchase.
So technically, we're out of contract right now, but we still have the property under contract because both the seller and the buyer don't want to lose each other. So it's this really weird thing that's occurring right now because the contract,
And
we're gonna have
I've
to
seen it happen
rewrite.
before. I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
see it with real estate agents.
All right, here's one, see if this is part under your purview. I had a 180 day this year. It wasn't a loan, it was a transfer of title. Does that change?
That would be a question for.
I would think probably not, Christie. I would think it's probably gonna be the same thing that, if it's a flip now. If they did a quick claim deed, they could probably get away with it because then they're just transferring the title without any issue and et cetera, but that would involve money transfer. So I would doubt it.
That's something I could check into.
Yeah.
They both have loans,
Probably would have
right?
had to be a new mortgage for that.
Yeah, that'd be a new mortgage. That's my concern is even though we're just transferring it, because I don't see really any difference there in transferring and a true sale. So I think under that terminology, it's probably all gonna be the same. Yeah, I think if there's money changing hands, you're gonna have to do that 12-month thing. So,
But to-
Yeah.
To Cassie's point, though, if either of those people was cash, then the rule doesn't apply. If the investor that's flipping it paid cash, then they could resell before that time frame.
I think so.
Or
Is
if
that-
it-
isn't
or
that
if it-
correct? Yeah.
Or if it was
a cash
financed to
purchase
start with,
And it's.
and the new person's paying cash.
So
then
not
it-
loan to loan,
Yeah,
but
they,
cash to
because
loan.
they're not getting a loan, so they don't have to go buy any.
They don't have to go through underwriting,
No
so it
two
doesn't
loans in the
matter.
same 12 months. That's probably the best
Sarah,
way to think about
do
it.
you know why they do that?
People flipping. I don't know. I mean, I don't know all the horrible things that have happened because, but.
it's a
Yeah,
desirable
no,
buyer.
but for real, you said it, it's true, it's gonna slow down on
Well,
it.
yeah, it slows down turnover and realtors, we want higher turnover,
Yeah.
more houses selling, it'll just slow down turnover.
It slows down turnover and it's also built to protect the buyers to a degree, because they don't want a flipper going in there and saying, man, if I could get this done in 30 days, think how much I'm gonna make, and they skimp on stuff and so on and so forth. It's designed under theory to help the buyers with that, so I don't have somebody that just, pardon my French, half-assed the job to get it done as fast as they possibly could.
Well, in all honesty, it's helping protect the lender themselves,
Sure.
because any commission you get paid, if it gets paid off within 6 months, they come back and take the commission away from you.
Bastards.
Right, I know.
Tell your people to wait 6 months before they refinance.
Meanies.
So now, we're gonna shift gears, guys, unless anybody's got anything else on this. Okay, so what do you think the best protection is for a home, for a new home buyer on the property?
A new construction warranty.
Maybe you can add that on after the new construction warranty expires, right?
No, it really needs to be done at closing.
No, I know that, but it can tack on to the second year.
Yeah, we've got
Think
a,
of
yeah, yes, we have a builder in, I want to say Ohio, but I don't think that's right. One of my colleagues has them. He's advertising a four-year home warranty. Because he's doing his 1-year builder warranty, then our 3-year.
Sorry, I did this wrong. Everybody, you may not know, this is George Brockman, the Saratoga rep. He's awesome. He's wonderful. He will take care of you. And we're gonna take about 10 or 15 minutes and do this, and then we're gonna let your family reunion folk come up and do your thing. I always push my clients to get a home warranty on when they're listing the property. And to me, it's an easy sell. Let's put it on there. If it truly comes down to $500 or $600 that's gonna break this deal, we'll figure that out. And guess what? You got coverage during the listing, so if something breaks while you've got it, you're covered. Easy in and out. I'm gonna let you do your thing now, but
We've set the table.
yeah.
So, and Nathan and I don't know if you guys heard that we were talking a little bit before we kind of got started here, but one thing we're starting to see in this market shift is the ability to negotiate, right? Now, the last couple of years, y'all, I know we're newer agents, but the last couple of years, that really wasn't happening a lot. So home warranty was kind of becoming an afterthought and getting left out. But now we're starting to see you can negotiate things. You can ask for things, right? And Nathan made a big ask on the behalf of his client. He negotiated and asked for $1,500. And the listing agent pushed back and was like, well, weren't they normally like $500? And they said, well, yeah, but $1,500 is cheaper than replacing the HVAC. So
This particular house had a really old HVAC system, so
Yeah.
that was the tool that made the buyer comfortable with proceeding.
So the great thing there is now his client's protected for 3 years. They get a nice discount by buying multiple years. And I'm not really here to push multiple years and say, oh, that's what you gotta do. But the point being is you can ask for things. Don't be afraid to ask.
And I mean, I usually always ask for 1 year on every single contract. And then if my buyers, I encourage them to look into the multiple years themselves necessarily if they would like additional, but at least I can get them the first year, you know, swing
Well,
off their
tell
back.
everybody your sales pitch that you used on that too, Nate.
Yeah, so first off, I, because of that, the property's in the country. So when it's in the country and you want to add coverage for the well, there's an additional charge for that. So I always ask for more money if it's in the country because there's other things to cover. But anyways, I asked for $1,500. The agent pushed back, said they're normally $500. I said, listen, the HVAC is really old. The client feels comfortable. If we can get them a longer warranty, that's why. So he's like, okay, it's fine. And they did it. But so
Because
then-
it avoids them asking for a new system right now.
Is that
That's
where,
part of
Yeah,
the
the
offer.
inspection.
And
right?
so I got to looking at the price breakdown and we could get them a very good coverage for 2 years and they wouldn't have to pay anything out of pocket. Or for $195 out of pocket, they could have coverage for 3 years. And they had been asking, when we were talking about 2 years, they asked about renewing it after that. And I'm like, yeah, you absolutely could, but here's a better option. Just get 3 years right now because you get a discount on the second and third year. And it was, you know, that 195 was less than what it would have cost them if they would have just renewed it at that second year to be covered for the third. So,
Yeah.
and then one other little thing I will say is Dawn's actually the reason why I started negotiating in home warranties. But since I've done that, which has been at least the last 9 or 10 months, every single transaction that I've done has had a home warranty, whether it's the buyer, I've never had anyone push back. I mean, The one I just talked about, he pushed back a little bit on the money of it, but it still was fine. And every other one, the listing agent never even brings it up. They just have a home warranty now. I look like a hero to my clients. And the point that Don made that sold me on it is like, if someone buys a house and something goes wrong 3 months from now or 6 months from now, they're gonna be furious at somebody, and that somebody may be you. So just a little bit of, tiny bit of extra effort when you're negotiating the deal could make you the hero and save yourself from a frustrated client.
And it makes George love you.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
The same thing. So I think I was part of that, and I've done it on every single one, never had pushback, same thing, so.
Yeah, it's amazing because I tell agents that, and even agents that have been in business a long time, if you just ask, you're probably gonna get it.
I never
And
fought it.
And the last couple of years, it was tough because everybody's like, oh, we gotta do a clean offer. We gotta do a clean offer. It'll never get accepted. Well, totally get that, right? Totally get that that's the way the market was driving those things. But now that it's shifted, people have kind of gotten out of the habit of asking, right? And if you don't ASK, you don't what? GET, right? Yeah, right. So ask. I have yet to have a real estate agent tell me that they lost a deal because they asked for a homework. Right? They've been told no, they've been countered no, but they haven't lost a deal. So don't be afraid to ask for your client. So one thing that we're really starting, I think we're gonna see and talk a lot more about this year. I got two big things, really. We're gonna talk about the shift in this market. That shift word's been being used a lot lately, I see, right?
It's almost like unprecedented.
Right.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Somebody should write a book on that. We're gonna start talking about sellers provided warranties. You're gonna start seeing that. So I want you to start thinking about, and we can certainly have one-on-one conversations, but I'll give you the lowdown here. But start thinking about when you're taking listings, enrolling your clients in our free sellers coverage, right? And I tell agents, I just had this conversation twice yesterday with 2 different agents. When you're taking a listing, our sellers coverage is free. It's complimentary, non-obligatory for your seller, which means if they don't provide it at close, or even if we pay a claim, they're not obligated to pay anything when the house sells. Okay? So it just goes away, right? So rather than saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we have this warranty option. If you're interested, you can have coverage during the listing period, blah, blah, blah. How about, hey, this is a benefit I provide. I provide this free home warranty coverage for all my clients, right? And just enroll them, right? Now what happens is there's an inspection or you go to walk through and the water heater's leaking. Guess what? They have something that's gonna offset that cost. And they didn't pay anything for it.
Say that
I didn't
again.
know you offered anything
Right.
like that.
Say that again under the inspection, make sure everybody heard what just happened.
So if you got seller's coverage in place and something comes up on the inspection, there is potential. I
So
have
if
to
the
say potential.
sellers have.
There's
a home
potential
warranty?
coverages, yes, during the listing period. And we're talking listing to close. So just get in the habit, change your process, change your procedure. When you take a listing, just automatically enroll it, right?
Enroll the sellers in it.
Sellers, the free sellers coverage, yes. Again,
Free
What does
sellers.
that cover?
all the major mechanical systems and appliances. Heating and air, water heater, appliances, electrical plumbing, roof leaks. Now, if there's one downside to our seller's coverage, and I don't know that's really a downside, we'll never pay more than $1,000 for the seller. Okay,
So if it's an old system and it need a new one, it's
the max we're gonna pay is $1,000.
$1,000.
So it's $1,000 discount.
Yeah, for free.
Okay, guys, look up here. Here's your basic application. All the information over here, you check what you want for your buyer. Right down here, it says optional seller coverage advantage with the free button. Check that box and send it off, and that's all you have to do.
So just that, don't do the buyer? Like what if we're offering one to the,
Send this off for the seller and then put it on, then just offer it on the regular MLS like you
Oh, okay,
normally
and then
would.
add it
And then you'll submit
later.
a secondary
Got
one
it,
for the
okay.
buyer later.
do you have an online portal for this?
We do.
Okay.
And there's the waiver there too.
Okay.
For your compliance.
They, you cover $1,000 max total or
Aggregate.
per?
Nope, aggregate, not per occurrence, aggregate, yeah.
But still, I just want to make sure everybody heard in that, the water leak, because I had never thought of it in those terms. Something comes up under inspection that potentially might be covered under this warranty that's not going to cost you anything.
And by the way, if you have sellers or buyers, either way, but sellers, and they get presented with a list of repairs and they've got the seller's coverage, call me. Let's talk about it, right? Because I can probably help them out and say, hey, that probably is gonna get covered. Those three things, no, but yeah, I'd file a claim for that, right? I've done this almost 10 years now.
How long does it take for the claim to get response?
So that's the great thing, because of our process, where the homeowner gets to hire the local contractor, the contractor works for the homeowner. It only takes as long as it takes the contractor to get it fixed.
Ooh, spicy.
Think about that, right?
So we
We're
just
not
like
slowing
submit
down
the
the process.
contractor bill, or that contractor has already.
Whatever contractor your seller hires to make the repair.
Yep.
That's the only delay. We don't slow down the process. I mean, they need to call and file and open a claim.
Yeah.
We need a verbal diagnosis from the contractor, but we're not gonna slow them down and say, oh, we want to order parts, or we need 3 days to review the
And then the
claim.
contractor is paid from you guys directly?
Mhm. Yep, we will pay the contractor directly by credit card.
Okay, so that's pretty immediate necessarily.
Our goal is to pay the contractor by credit card before they leave the house.
Love that.
We want to treat the contractor as well as we do the homeowner. We really do.
The fact that they get to pick is
It's huge.
huge. Yeah.
Listen, again, I've been in the space almost 10 years now. I was the HSA rep for 6 years.
Yeah.
The grief and aggravation that I see homeowners and agents go through on this stuff, night and day. I had a closing in Wichita Friday, a week ago Friday. Agent called me at 5:30 on a Friday night. We're doing the final walkthrough and the water heater won't light. We're closing 9 a.m. Monday morning. What do we do? Now, with the other company, I'd have been like, well, you gotta file a claim, and they have 2 business days to be on site, which means they're not required to be on site till Tuesday. And most likely, you're not gonna get a call to Monday, because the contractor's not gonna schedule to Monday, which means they're probably not gonna get there till Wednesday. That was my old life. Now, I was like, hey, call a contractor, see if you can get one to come out tonight.
I had that water heater issue, but it was my buyer who had it, not the sellers. And if the sellers had had it, then you guys maybe, because the water heater was 1,300. So you guys would have covered necessarily 1,000.
Whatever, depending on what plan, up to X amount
Yeah,
for that replacement, yeah.
intriguing. Yeah.
But the to wrap that story up, the contractor had made it was I think it was the thermocouple. I can't remember. It wasn't the gas valve, but there was something wrong on the water heater. Had that replaced, and the contractor was paid by noon on Saturday. You'll close at 9 a.m. on Monday, right?
That doesn't happen, gang.
Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
I have another story. So there's a Keller Williams. I do quite a bit of business in Wichita because one of my non-compete, I had to go there, right? KW agent at one of the offices in Wichita. When a claim is paid, I get a notification. When we pay the contractor, I get an automated email, right? I got one on Sunday about 3 or 4 o'clock. This is about 4 or 5 months ago. And I'm like, well, that's weird. It's 3 or 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. Why did I get that? So of course I went and looked at it. Homeowner filed a water heater claim at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. By 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the water heater was replaced and the contractor was paid.
Wow.
I didn't get involved. I didn't have to push that along. I didn't get a call saying, hey, we got to get this done. It just happened because that's our normal process. So. I really don't want to get into our buyers coverages too much right now because, and you're one of the first groups that gets to hear this, we are rolling out product updates probably on or around April 1st.
Nice. No fooling.
No fooling. We are now in this day and age of inflation, all the prices are going up, right? On everything. And some of ours are. But contrary to what's going on in the marketplace, we are actually rolling out a less expensive product. We feel like we're missing part of the market with a less expensive product. It is also a product that as we get back into this market where the seller is providing the home warranty, it gives a less expensive option for the seller to provide the warranty. Now, I will tell you, the coverages are really scaled back. It's kind of like our seller's coverage on steroids, right? So it's not going to have depth of coverage, okay?
So
But
there'll be 4 different tiers now then?
yes and no. So our brochure will show 3 plans. We're taking the Pro. We've increased coverage limits on our Pro, but we're taking it off the brochure. Okay,
Just the dollar value on what you already cover or different items?
the dollar value. We're not adding any new coverage items this go around. We are adding an appliance add-on. We've got some feedback from agents that we would like to see an option to increase the appliance coverages. So there'll be an appliance coverage add-on. But here's what I really like, is that we sat down, we looked at our pricing models. And really anything from 475 to like 8 something, and I can't remember what it was. We had a chart, and I'll make it available to everybody once I have it, but everything from like 475 to 8 something in $25 increments, we had an amount we could hit with something, right? So I think the best value is gonna be somewhere around $700. So start thinking about, when you're asking for home warranties, maybe a $700 be a target number. You can ask for 1,500.
That's that would be with like extra riders for extra things, right? Because
Correct.
your max is, okay.
Yeah. And so what I would encourage you to do is kind of figure out what amount you're comfortable with. We can have one-on-ones. We can talk about what you feel most comfortable with your clients. I'll educate you all day long on all the different coverage options.
And saying, if you guys don't understand what some of this means, then
Yeah. Be real estate experts. I'll be your home warranty expert, right? I mean, if you have a mortgage question, you're gonna call Sarah, right? You're not gonna- Hopefully, right? You should call Sarah, Jedi mind trick thing. But if you have a home warranty question, call me, right? We can say, okay, what are you working with? How old is HVAC? How old's the house, right? How much do you have to work with? How much can you ask for?
Was it pre-existing?
So, but I'm just, so we're putting out this plan now where we could hit all these price points. So let's say you get to the closing, maybe a warranty wasn't negotiated, but maybe you've got $550 left over in closing costs. We got a warranty for that. Sure, call me. We'll figure it out. And hopefully we've negotiated, multi-years. But the other thing, like Nate was, and then I'll kind of hit on what Nate was saying a little bit, and then I'll get the hook, but let's say you want to negotiate for $800. Great. You've asked for a home warranty up to $800 for your client. Well, now your client can take that $800 and apply that to a 2-year and maybe only have $400 out of pocket, but get 2 years of coverage. See what I'm saying?
Let me interject something too.
Yeah.
Rather than sit and fumble with this form right here, what I do is I just go to the portal as I'm enrolling them, and you can literally just check boxes, and you can do 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, and it just tells you what the price is right there.
Yeah.
So like I'll negotiate whatever the price is on the contract, and then I'm gonna go and figure out what the best level of coverage I can get them for the amount that I negotiated on the contract. And then once you enroll them, it spits out an invoice, and then you just have the client sign the invoice, and you never need to fill that out. You just upload the invoice up to Command, and that passes the compliance.
I like that.
There you go. There you go. My job's done here.
This form is the bane of my existence. Thank you. I can never figure out what to check. It really is what it is. So I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to think if there's anything else.
you guys got questions about any of this?
Yeah, what do you guys got? So one offer I always leave with everybody, and when I do presentations, I'm always open to coffee or cocktails. If I'm not drinking coffee, I'm probably thinking about drinking coffee. I don't quite have as many cocktails anymore as I used to, but I'm always open to coffee or cocktails. So if you want to learn more about home warranty, if you're meeting with a client, they have questions about home warranty, call me, text me. Hey, can you talk for a second? Be happy to get on a conversation with you and your buyer, or you and your seller, and answer any questions they have about home warranty. Give them my contact info. My cell phone number is on my brochure. Guess what? And I can't remember if I told you guys this last time. So been in the business, I'm starting my 10th year this year. I always had 2 cell phones, right? I had my burner phone for home warranty, and then I had my personal phone. I didn't want anybody to have my personal phone number. In fact, the only very select few have my personal number because I didn't want people calling me on my personal number at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night because they don't have hot water, right? And that was the work phone. Because of this claims process, I don't deal with those crazy, ugly, escalated claims. I'm getting rid of the work burner phone. Some of you may still have the number, but I'm turning it off.
What's the correct one right now?
880-5513. That's the cell phone number I've had for 20 years. Give it to your clients. I'm happy to answer the questions. Happy to help you guys and whatever I can do to support you. Right? We really feel like this is going to be a big year.
In the chat.
Oh, yep.
We really feel like this is gonna be a big year for home warranty shift. It's become more relevant. We've already seen it start to become more in the conversations. So whatever I can do to help you handle that better on the behalf of your client. Remember, you have a fiduciary responsibility for your clients to get them the best deal you can get them. And if that includes a home warranty, awesome. Let's give them the best, get them the best deal we can, right? So, anything else?
Yep, hang on just a second. I'm gonna have you send me give me the link so I can type it in here. 880. Is it just achosa.com? Is that all they need to do?
I chose a HW.
I got a thing. I think the best way that you can benefit me is by talking straight to my transaction coordinator, because that's who's gonna ultimately be talking. All right, and so I've like already started a three-way text with you and her, and just anybody else who uses a transaction coordinator. That's what I would do, because then when you're gonna talk to them about, hey, you wanna do a seller's warranty, they won't be totally in the dark about it. I know about it.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
And you can explain everything to them way better than I can.
Yeah, and I know I think all of the transaction coordinators for the most part in the area, right? I have good working relationships with most or all of them.
They don't know your products, though.
No, some do better than others. Jill really knows the product really well. Nicole knows the product really well. But again, those are things that if you want to introduce me to who's doing the transaction coordinating, I can work with them. We'll get it figured out. Take one thing off your plate. Happy to do that. Work with them all the time. So, all right, anything else?
One last thing I'll interject. The huge difference between Achosa and HSA is that Achosa lets your clients pick their own contractor. We touched on that, but just to hammer that home, if it's July and HSA's one HVAC contractor is backed up for 2.5 weeks, then your clients are gonna be upset for 2.5 weeks. Whereas when they can pick their own contractor, they can call around and find someone that can get out there the next day. So I think that's huge.
And the other big part of that, that gets overshadowed with the bad situation beginning, waiting for the contractor to get there, is that the home warranty company wants to supply the parts. They want to order the parts because they can get national pricing. They can order the equipment, but it might take 3 or 4 days or more to get the parts or equipment, right? When you use your own contractor, they can run down, if they don't have it on their truck, they can run down to the parts store and get it. Right? They don't have to wait for the home warranty company to go through 3 people's hands to order it, to go to a distributor so they can go get it or have it shipped. None of that, right? That doesn't mean that won't ever happen. Parts get back ordered. We know there's been supply chain issues over the last couple of years, but it's in the control of the contractor and the homeowner, not the home warranty company,
Yeah,
which makes a world of difference.
so that, I don't even use HSA anymore, just for that one reason, because my clients were always pissed because they had to go through the warranty company to get approved contractor, and so, yeah, them being able to choose is huge.
Big reason why I'm here. So anyways,
I think George and Nate need to take this on the road.
right? Yeah. Could you be my plant and I take you with me to Kansas City?
I need to start getting some kind of kickback. George. Come on.
We'll work on that. Yeah. I mean, you need to be in my plan. I need to take you and like sit in the audience. Well, wow, that's a great question. I'm excited.
Do you, so like, since we're in your territory, it just automatically goes to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, that's a great question. Anything in my geographical area, they're automatically getting assigned to me, and the first order, they'll assign, like, when Cassie orders one, they'll make sure that I'm tied to her, so the next one she orders automatically comes to me, but we're in 23 states.
Oh, that's a big picture in my head.
I can write in any of the 23 states that we're in. So if you're working on a referral deal or something far away, don't be happy to introduce to that agent in South Carolina or wherever it is, right? Because I can write that deal too.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Very much.
All right, guys, we're gonna shift. And we actually have Blake Cook as our, what would you call it? As our new Shanna asking
Panelist.
questions. Analyst,
Panel leader.
panel leader about family reunion. We just got back.
All
We just got back yesterday and we wanted to share with you guys our ahas, what we learned, our experience, and we figured it would be best to hear from agents that are in the coaching program with you guys that you can relate to and feel comfortable reaching out to if you have any questions.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
What is family reunion?
A giant party at night. Daytime is 10,000 people trying to get from one place to another
Yeah.
on 2 escalators.
It reminded me of when I was in college, because you're going from like one room to the other and you're meeting new people, and it's a huge room with a bunch of people in there. But really it was just, the way I would put it is that I'm sitting over here telling you guys about family reunion, and I've been sitting where you guys are at, where people are talking to me about family reunion. And to be honest, it's not until you go that you will really be able to wrap your head around what it was, because it truly just, I came back and I'm like, I'm ready to take on the world.
I think college is a great way to describe it
Yeah.
though, like on a big, I mean.
You party at night, you study
Yeah.
during the day.
Any campus, no matter like, even if, if it's OTC or Drury or University of Arkansas, it's still a ton of people trying to get somewhere to learn something and trying to get in that sea of traffic, and it's, and everybody's like-minded. So we're all going to real estate stuff. So if you went to college for biology or
Yeah.
architecture or whatever, you're all like-minded. So there were panels on panels on panels. And you could just pick one thing to go and study.
And there were multiple things going on at the same time. So something that like we did is that we divided and conquered. We were like, well, we can't go all to the same thing. So we divided, and then we shared our notes and our thoughts and what we learned and our ahas. And really the bottom line is you're learning from just beasts in the industry that are just giving you all of this insight and information and their tips and tricks and what they're doing and how they're doing it successfully. And it's people that started like us, that maybe started thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. I went to a class where this agent was going to law school, and she was knee deep in debt, and now she has a multi-million-dollar business. So really it's a place where you're going to meet like-minded people. They're going to become your referral partner, see it as a huge networking event where you get to connect with agents from all over the United States and from all over the world. There were people there from Turkey, Portugal, China, everywhere, all over the world, Mexico. And if you make relationships with those people and you follow up with them, they will send you referrals, and they will become the people that make you grow your business. Like you can make business off of becoming referral partners with other agents. So the bottom line is it's just a huge learning experience. It's a lot about mindset. It's not only about just real estate in itself. It's about shifting your mindset and really getting into that. I mean, we had a motivational speaker that barely talked on the subject of real estate. Like he plugged it in there so that we could connect to it. But it was really just motivational and trying to get us in that positive mindset of like, we can do whatever we set our mind to.
It's a good transition. Cass, what was a mindset piece that you took away?
Mine was from Molly Fletcher. And it was, well, she had a ton of them. But I think the big one, and especially for us and for you guys sitting here, is act like you have the business before we have it.
I have that.
So I mean, that's a mindset. That is believing in yourself that business is there and acting like you have it. And I know that's scary because I'm the same way. Like I overthink it and I'm not smart enough to do this. And why would they ever hire me? So it's a mindset that says, I'm $1 million real estate agent. I just don't have the $1 million yet. So telling yourself that you can do this, and it was multiple times we heard it. We heard it from Molly. We heard it from Gary, and I heard it from one other person too, and I can't remember who it was. It may have been in the coaching. I wasn't, oh my God. Sanjay,
Yes.
Craig Zuber, I got to sit right in front of them while they talked about coaching. I was like, I want you to be my coach, but I can't afford you and you're hard. So someday maybe they'll be my coach. But it really was, and I'm gonna tell you too, I would say this, belief was like everywhere in my notes. Believe and belief, which is a big thing for me. And we were talking about going to breakouts and stuff. And you can find what you need to get your business going. Like we left like day one and we're like, we're gonna take on the world and we're gonna kill it and no one's in our way. So
So how are you gonna do that? How are you guys gonna take on the world and kill it?
Implementing what we
Yeah.
learned,
Implementing what?
like what we learned. I mean, so like for me, one of the biggest things was think of change as an opportunity. Obviously, we've been grilled on shift right now. And something I want to add is that I truly, genuinely, 1000% believe we have the best market center out there. We got to talk to so many agents from all over the country that were appalled at the the leadership that we have in our market center, the coaches that we have in our market
not
center.
appalled, they were
Sounds like a big-
astounded.
Astounded,
Yeah.
that's what it was,
Yeah.
astounded,
Yeah.
sorry. English is my second language, guys. But we were talking a lot about shift, and really what it is that, and Ed Milet said it, you know, we have a job that takes work. And so in this shift, you will be staying active as an agent if you do the work. If you don't do the work, you're not gonna be able to stay active as an agent. Clients are not gonna just fall on your lap. You're actually gonna have to work for it. You know, it's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna make money and I'm just gonna sit and it's gonna fall on me. Like, that's not really how it's going to happen. And we already have, like, there were classes that I didn't choose to go to because our market center has already been teaching us those things.
And I went to one of those classes and I had to leave because I was like, this is so far below where I already am. I mean, that sounds awful, but I was like, I learned this like in week 4 of real estate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in this market center. So, and people were like, like they hadn't heard any of this stuff. And so that was disturbing.
Yeah.
I was disturbing because I wasted 30 minutes of my time when I could have been somewhere else, but that is what it is, you know? But absolutely, for sure, you guys are far ahead of some of the money makers in other places because they did have them falling in their lap for the last 2 years and they forgot how to do what you guys are having to do as brand new agents. We don't know any different, do we? We didn't have them falling in our laps. We had to go and work for every single one of them. So we're already doing that. So it's just continuing that and not listening to the people going, oh, it's just out there. No, it is out there. You have to go get it though. It's not coming to you.
So with the mindset shift, how is your mindset shift changing any of the activities you guys are doing?
So for me, it was Gary saying, just go freaking do it. You know what I mean? I mean, and that's, again, I said, I get into my own mind, and I know a couple of you guys do too, that sitting down to do the calls is like, oh, I'm gonna organize this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna look at that. And the minute I'll get that call going, but it's literally just picking up that phone and going. Because we know once we get started, unless someone distracts us, and like Cameron and I talked about, we need sandwich boards on us that say, if I'm out here, put me back in my box, you know, because I'm supposed to be doing phone calls. If you see me, put me back in my room, you know. So it really is just go do it because it's possible. And that's what we heard. And we're in our little microcosm here, and we're seeing, you know, we got Dan Holt, we have Adam Grading, we have Linton Keats, and they're just killing it. Well, they weren't killing it when they first started. They had to do these things. So we're comparing ourselves to the wrong people. It's just us. We just need to compete with ourselves and tell ourselves to go out and do it and get the job done.
You have to remember that comparison is a thief, and you can't compare yourself to what someone else is doing because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they are doing to get there. And your life is different than whatever the other person is doing. Something that for me, my mindset,
Really fast. So it's the same stuff.
yeah.
Did you guys catch that? You're doing the same activities
The same exact
Same stuff.
activities.
when they left. They're back now. Mindset's different. Same things though. No
With-
pill, same thing.
What's funny is I, not on purpose, but I ended up meeting a ton of team leaders and agents or former team leaders. And they literally said, what are you doing to do business? And so I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I sat and talked to them like, oh, okay. You know, like I went through my day and what I was doing on a good day. When I went through my day of what I was doing and how I was doing it, they were like, oh, you are doing this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And so that was really nice. It was really funny how many team leaders I met. So
Well, and in the last couple of years, we were in a really wild market. And they talked a lot about how, because of the market that we were at, we were very transactional because things were happening so quick that you didn't really have a chance to connect on a deeper level with your clients. And now you have to shift, which is the word of the year, from being transactional to being relational. We should always be relational, but the market that we were at made it a little bit harder to be that way because you get a client and you had to get them under contract fast. You had to move fast. So there wasn't a lot of time to like, how are you doing today? And like, tell me about your life. It's like, okay, what are you looking for? When is your, what's your budget? We need to go to that house right now or it's going to sell in the next hour. But yeah, it really is everything that we've been learning, but also just bringing it back and implementing it. And I was telling Blake, I went to a class and it was like, they said something and I'm like, it's that freaking easy. And it's like, isn't it funny how you hear something and you're like, well, duh, that's like the easy response. Why aren't you doing it? I think the hard part is that you come from family reunion with this mindset shift and you have to keep going. You can't just stay with that. You actually, like my goal this week is to go sit down at my office and immediately start working on that. There's new updates on Command. The Command app is freaking awesome. And we're lucky that we have Nicole here in our market center too, because the updates that they're doing to the Command app on itself alone are going to just skyrocket your business if you really plug into it. And I think my biggest takeaway is that, personally, I love Keller Williams. Like, I don't care what another brokerage offers me. This is where I'll die on this hill. Like, I don't care. Like, I will stay here. And the reason is because during family reunion, I saw that the culture that we are given here in our market center, you could see it from Gary. Like, it comes from the top and it goes down the bottom. And they don't only care about the amount of dollar that you make, but they also care about your well-being, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, making sure that you are okay and that you are succeeding, because we want to build life worth living.
Okay, pause. You guys pretty much answered all the questions that you sent.
Oh.
Notebooks down, which is totally cool, because we got 7 minutes left.
Well, no, I really wanted to read something from Gary. He had 5 strategies or 5 ideas, but the one about mindset, I kind of wanted to go over those with you. And here it is again. Own your mindset. Believe that you can do it. Be the buffalo, not a bear. You guys remember what the buffalo is?
Charges the storm.
Charges the storm to get through it faster. We're not going to be cows huddled together, hoping to survive it. We're going to run right through it. Play the long game, which is kind of where we are in our career, and it's a little scary. But that's where we are. We're playing the long game. We're as long as we're doing our activities, they're going to come, and we're going to have that positivity and that those sales come, but we have to do what we're supposed to be doing. Changes are inevitable, and this is a cycle. So everything is a cycle. We saw all of our graphs, everything was up and down. I mean, almost identical. Every single one of them was. So it's a cycle. We just have to get through it. Don't wish it away. Work the moment. Don't hope for the best. Do the best. Do more. Drive yourself. He said there is less out there so we have to do more work. That doesn't mean there's not more for us. There's just less out there. Be positive and see the possibilities. Continuously play offense. Listen more than ever. Focus on what you can control. Live outside your comfort zone and live certainty in an uncertain time.
And what he mentioned about living in certainty on an uncertain time is that your certainty comes from knowing who you are. So if you don't know who you are, then you are going to feel very uneasy and very uncertain. And I can speak to that because when I first started in this career, I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I think I am that I can achieve my goals in real estate, seeing all these rock star agents. And when I changed that mindset to being like, no, I can do this. I've seen agents that started where I'm at that have managed to do it. And if they can do it, then I can do it. And it's just a matter of plugging yourself in. You will not be able to succeed if you don't plug in. Like, you need to be plugged in. You need to talk to your team leaders. If you need help with something, don't be scared. We have an amazing leadership team that will literally do so much for you guys if they see that you want it. If they don't see that you don't want it, they're not gonna come for you because this is your business. Like, we're adults here. We're not teenagers. We're not kids. It's not their responsibility to be like, did you do the work? Did you do this? Like, no, they're just gonna assume that you're doing it. And if you want help, you're gonna have to ask for it. You're gonna have to be humble and be like, I don't know how to do this. Please guide me. Please tell me where I need to go. But if you're not willing to accept that you need help or just see that you have the tools to get the answers, then you're not gonna get them.
So when you say plug in, what do you specifically, so moving from mindset matters because I think it's the
Yeah.
most important thing.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Like when you say you're gonna plug in, like what is plugging in? What does that actually look like?
Showing up at the market center, like whether you guys have an office or not, you should be here every single day.
Doing what?
Doing your lead generation, coming in classes, talking to your coach, listening to your coach. If your coach is telling you, go make 30 calls because that's the plan that you guys worked on, you better be doing those 30 calls, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to do it. And if you don't plug in, you're not going to feel like you belong. People that leave sometimes leave because they don't feel like they belong. And it's because they're not here. The people that,
I'll just agree, that's all.
yeah, so.
And I would add to that too. So if you and your coach said, I'm gonna make 30 calls today, and you haven't made 30 calls yet in a day, go back.
Mhm,
If it needs to go back to one call,
mhm,
I'm gonna make one call today.
mhm.
And then you succeeded. It's the little wins, little makes big. So if it needs to be, I'm gonna make one call because I have to overcome everything in me to get there, it's one call. And Shannon, I got that call. Cassie, I got that call. Maria, I got that call. Okay, can you do two tomorrow? Yeah. So go back. I did the same thing too. I'm like, I'm gonna do $1 million. I'm gonna call 100 people a day. It's freaking hard. It's hard to do. So until you get to the point where you are controlling what you're doing, make goals that we want to do big goals, of course, but if you do big goals that you can't reach, you're not even gonna try them, are you? So maybe it's 5. Maybe you don't want to go, I don't want to say 1. Okay, well, 5. Get those things going and get that attitude going and get that mindset going. And then it's going to skyrocket from there. It's going to just it's going to go further and further because, and I got this from a coach, and he was doing the strategies, and it was all our 20%. It was lead generation, lead follow-up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and script practice. And he literally was like, yeah, we know you need to do 20 or you need to do 40, but if you can't do that, if you're not in that place, do 1. But tell yourself you're going to get an appointment with that one contract. You know what I mean? So it was really about what you're going, or that one phone call.
And the way that she lead generates is not gonna be the way that I lead generate. So if there's something that isn't working for you guys, talk to Shanna. Tell her like, hey, I tried this. I freaking hate it. I don't want to do it. You don't like open houses? Don't do open houses. Do something else that you enjoy. You know,
The theme going through all this. Anybody? It's okay if not. I just want to make sure that that's, Don, you just.
Finish your thought.
Mindset.
Do what
Okay.
works for you.
Yep.
But just do it consistently.
consistency. And that's the number one thing that we heard on everything was just do it.
Just do
Be
it.
consistent. Be consistent. There was something that I think you told me that was when you were our coach, that was consistency over intensity. It doesn't matter if you're like doing it really intensely for like a day and then you're like, oh, that was great, or it sucked and you're like, I don't want to do this ever again. It sucked. No one, everyone hung up the phone on me. I don't want to do, I hate it. If you stop, you're done. Like you didn't build the habit. You need to work that muscle. You need to get used to doing it and building that consistency, because when you do that consistently, people are going to remember. They're going to remember, hey, I remember she calls, or I remember, you know, she posts on social media, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that works for you, just do it. And if something's not working, be honest with Shanna. I am not a numbers person. I freaking hate numbers. I don't like charts. I don't like graphs. I just don't like them. But I needed to understand and know my numbers in order to know what I needed to hit in order to grow my business. And Shanna and I sat together multiple times until I found a system that worked for me. I cannot think about the amount of transactions I want to do each month. To me, it's the amount of volume. How much volume do I need to make? Okay, this is the amount of volume. I do know how many transactions I have to make because it is important, but I also know what my average sales price needs to be in order for me to get to that. So just talk to her. If you don't talk, if you don't ask questions, you're not going to get anywhere.
I'm gonna say that really simply. All you guys have to do is stuff.
Yeah, do the stuff.
Shanna's here. Shanna's tracking it. All you guys have to do is something. Consistency all the time. If you don't have action, are you able to be consistent? Anybody? So if you don't do anything, you can be consistent. Maybe consistently not doing anything, I guess. So actually, I think you're right. You gotta do something. Tom, you had something, didn't you?
Just because I know where you both started, where you came from, because I've watched you grow and it's been awesome. And a lot of these folks are in that same thing, as I know you're doing the same activities that they're doing. Yeah, you may be doing it differently.
Yeah.
What is an aha from each of you of something, whether it be lead generation, open houses, showing clients, writing contracts, you're like, why didn't I think of that before? That is so stupidly simple.
I shared mine and it happened like in the first hour I went to, it was, I can't think of the name of it. All the names are long and like 90 words, but it was strategies. And it was about lead generation. He talked about different ways of lead generation. Then he went into open houses. And if you've done open houses with me, we do 7 levels. We do all of it. Well, he had +1 and never thought of it. But you call the FSBOs and expireds in the area. Like I have a Willard one. So Willard is pretty small. So I'm just gonna call all of them in Willard and say, I saw you had a house on the market that didn't sell, or FSBO or whatever. I have an open house that I've had dozens of people come through. I might have someone for you. Are you still interested in selling? You know, and open that conversation to them, or come
good. I
interview
like
me.
that.
I know. Or come interview me, come see me at my open house and see what I do for my clients to see what I might be able to do for you. Like those are people who already threw their name in the hat that said, I want to sell my house. And now there's a reason to call, because there's my mindset. I have to have a really good reason to call somebody. I love that because I really feel like that's a good reason to call.
That's impactful because my hang up is I don't want to feel like an idiot. And sometimes when you don't really have something good
To
to
say.
say, whether it's calling someone or in person.
I'm the same way.
And it just, to me, it feels awkward and I feel stupid.
Yeah.
But having something like that, that's great.
Yeah,
Love
it
that.
was really great. And I mean, he said a couple of miles, I'll go 5 miles. I don't care. If it's Nixa, I'm gonna call the whole city of Nixa that didn't sell, you know? So, I mean, I love that. Like that really, really spoke to me. And the other part, I mean, exactly what you're saying. I have to get out of that mindset too. On that note, something you said, what am I gonna implement that I came back from? I'm going to start script practicing every morning at 8 a.m. down here. And if anybody wants to join me, you are welcome to come down and join me. And we're literally just gonna read our scripts, read. And then MAPS has from 8:30 to 9 on Facebook and on Zoom. Jen Davis, Denny, somebody or other, they do live script practicing. And if we ever get brave enough, we can get on there and script practice with them. But we can at least listen to the conversations.
Why do you want to do that more?
I want to do that because I need it. I need it a ton because I need that confidence to be able to speak to someone. Once I've created that relationship, it's all good. I can have conversation all day long. I've got to get from hi, this is Cassandra with Keller Williams, don't hang up, to we're best friends, and they'll take my call. So I've got to get from that point A to point B, and that script practicing, that dialogue practice is gonna get me to that point where I am comfortable talking about the beginning stuff
Which day are you wanting to do it?
every day.
When I was gonna
Every
say,
day.
what's that gonna do for your business, putting in that kind of consistency? the
So that's gonna help
non-negotiable,
my
the-
business, but I also want to help others that want to do that as well. I mean, script practicing all by myself is not gonna be a lot of fun, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to come in and do it with me, I would love that, because I would love to give that possibility to somebody else as well.
Who likes scripts and role play? Besides Justin, I know you're. It's wildly impressive. Do you guys know why it works? Do you guys know why it actually works?
Because you become comfortable in your own skin and your own voice.
Just by talking to somebody here that is not even gonna transact, that's gonna make you feel better. So that when someone says it, you won't even realize that you're using a script.
It sounds less like a script, right? It sounds more like a conversation.
Absolutely.
And the best way I can describe that too is I think I was listening to, was it Fanatical Prospecting, where they talked about actors. That's not natural, what they're doing. And if they're good at it because they practiced, you believed every word they're saying on the screen. You know what I mean? That's them. That's Rachel Green, or that's whoever, you know? So that like really clicked for me, that it wasn't trying to be inauthentic. It was trying to be really authentic in who you
Some
are.
perspective for the mindset, right? I don't like it, I don't wanna do it. Like, when you're doing it, of course, it's terrible and miserable and it's awkward and we don't understand, it doesn't feel right. I'm trying to say it, it's not landing well. Like, that's the point.
Right.
Like, but whenever you have that conversation with your client, it's not gonna be received that way. It will be if that's the first time you're trying to say it.
Oh my gosh, and that'll remind me, Gary Keller said that most of us, he said, thank God we're not surgeons. Because most of us practice on our patients.
Oh, geez.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, woo. Dead.
I think for me, it was more so about being authentic with the people that you speak to.
Yeah.
Because I struggle with sounding salesy. I don't like it. I think that's what was hard for me when I first started in the business, is that I didn't want to sound salesy. And so you can practice your scripts and make them authentic to who you are. If you get comfortable with the script is just a guide on how to have a conversation. And then you can, once you become comfortable with the script, you can make it authentic to who you are. People like connecting with you. They don't want you trying to just sell them something. They want to actually have a relationship with you. And it goes back from being transactional, being relational instead of transactional. And I think that was one of my biggest ahas, which is a really simple thing. Like, just have a relationship with people. Like, that's the reason I have a listing appointment tomorrow, is because I kept a relationship. I wasn't constantly being like, hey, you want to sell your house? Like, I knew she was a seller. I have her address. I have her phone number. I have her email. I don't have her on a smart plan, which that's something that I'm going to change in my business, but I have followed up. I have kept in touch. I have engaged with her on her social media and her life events. And like, I know that she's going to college and she's in her 50s, you know, so like, just knowing
Say that
those.
with such disdain.
No,
That was pride. That was proud.
No, I meant it like, I'm proud
Yeah.
because she dropped out of
New
college
things.
when she was young, and she posted up about how proud she was to be going to college at her age, which is like, not a lot of
Brave.
people, once you drop out, not a lot of people go back. So I think that that's hugely impressive. And we've made conversation out of that. So I think we need to get out of our heads, and like, we get paralysis by analysis. And like, I know we get so much information and so many tips and tricks, but you just have to pick something that you like, talk about it with Shanna or someone from the coaching program. If you know that someone else is doing it successfully, don't be scared to reach out to them. Our agents are awesome and they're willing to give you information. I mean, it's just a matter of really reaching out and plugging in, like, come to the office, talk to your agents, get to know your agents, because if you get to know them, when you write offers, they're going to see your name, they're going to know you, you're going to be more likely to get an offer accepted as well. So just plug in and show up, guys. It really what it comes
Does
down
anybody
to.
not wanna feel salesy?
I want to be salesy.
You do wanna be salesy? No, that's,
That's my biggest.
Is it really?
That's the hardest thing for me to try to, because I came from high pressure sales for a long time, timeshare. And that's my biggest fear, is coming across pushy or salesy or So that's the hardest thing for me to overcome.
Makes sense.
Do you encourage people to buy a house that you know is not a good house to buy?
Well, no. So I want to use the words that you're gonna hate. When's the last time you made somebody buy a house they didn't want?
Yeah.
Is it possible to make somebody buy a house that they don't want? It's really not. How do you make money? Like, one thing that you said that I want to make sure we touch on is, guys, you sell real estate. Like, you can be honest, good character, authentic, you can be everything, and if you don't ask for the business, you can be that somewhere else, because you will not have enough money to stay here.
You have to ask.
You'll be somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sell them anything.
We also, I mean, I know that we talk a lot about interest rates in our market center. The conversation that we had with Gary and Jason
I know
Jason
you're going.
Abrams,
And Jay.
and Jay Papasan, that the way that they bring, and it's not just numbers from Keller Williams. This is like NAR, like data, like this is from all over the nation. So we are looking at numbers that the highest objection right now is interest rates are too high. That's not true. Interest rates are low. Interest rates are historically low. And even Gary Keller said it, and I actually shared it on my story. He does not believe that we're going to see 2s and 3s again in our lifetime. Ever again. And I think it's true. We saw the graph, and interest rates have been where they're at historically forever. Like 18 was, you know, like normal back when Jim was starting in real estate. So really the 18% interest rate.
Oh, 80%.
No, not when he was 18. No, 18%. Right, no. But something, I remember Amy said something,
Oh.
if something in their life happened, like a life event happened, if they love the house and if they are able to afford the payment, interest rate should not matter.
Yeah.
It should not matter because they can always refinance. So if those things, if you can check those 3 things and you can have that conversation with that client where they're like, well, I don't want to have the interest rate. And you're like, well, you just had a baby and you only have 1 bedroom. You love this house and you can't afford your payment. Why does the interest rate matter?
What's your interest rate right now on your rental?
Exactly. So it's just handling those objections and really just, and I'm sure we're team meeting, we're gonna have the graphs and we're gonna talk about family reunion on team meeting. And we can even ask Shanna if we can pull up the graphs and the numbers that we saw and we can discuss them together so that you can also kind of understand what they described. Because they did it in such a way that was so easy and so easy to grasp for yourself and your clients. And they like show you, it's just, I was
like, it's a ton, so I'm gonna punish.
I just can't.
She will talk about interest rates because she understands them. She listened to somebody talk about it. You were talking back, whether it was out loud or in your head. Now she's not afraid of that conversation. That is scripts and role play.
Because did you say you don't like numbers?
Well, no, but when you understand them.
No, so perfect. You don't like things you don't understand.
Exactly.
Not numbers.
And, well, yes, and just the way that it was explained.
Yeah.
They do it in such a way that they just speak for themselves.
If you guys aren't using broker metrics, which is the local numbers she's talking about, you get them every month. Shannon can explain them to you. You guys can have role plays around them. It'll make you feel more comfortable talking. When I first started, tips and tricks do not matter unless you're doing something. Until you're doing the fundamental phone calls or whatever the thing is just forget tips and tricks. This though, mindset of getting you out of, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want. Make it one goal when you're talking to them. This was from Ed Milet, which I thought was, there was like 11,000 people in there, everyone's crying. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't need you guys to believe it. Like, so if you're talking with your client, I need you to believe that I believe it. That's sales. If you believe that I think homeownership is a really good idea, you will want to buy one. If I make you believe that I know what I'm talking about, you will listen, whether you do or not. But it's not about the stuff you're actually talking about. It's going to make you believe that I believe I know what I'm talking about, or in the thing that I'm talking about. And then just do something, please.
Yeah.
Please. It's going to get really hard. Opportunities are there. Transactions are there. Everything's there. It's literally going to be a lack of effort.
Something that Ed also said, his thing was doing one more phone call, one more meeting, one more
I love you.
I love you, one more anything. Because that one more phone call, like you might be going down the list of people that you're cold calling or whatever it might be. And you're like, I can't do this anymore. People hate me. They don't want to take my phone call and you give up. But what if that one more phone call was the one that was going to get you a new client? What if that one more open house was the one that was going to get you a new client? You know, what if that one more client that you added on a smart plan, which, you know, I speak for myself because I do have some of them, but not all of them. You know, what if you just did one more thing that's going to get you there? And he also touched on your mistakes don't disqualify you. They're the things that qualify you. And the reason he shared that is because he was an addict, his father was an addict, and someone along the way saved his dad from continuing being an addict. And he was like, what if that person didn't have one more conversation with my father and helped him? Someone helped his dad get out of addiction. So just doing one more thing, just waking up one day, every day and saying, I'm gonna do one more phone call today. I'm gonna do one more open house this weekend.
I think Don's here to cut us off, which is totally cool.
No, I'm not here to cut you off. This is great.
Do you guys have any questions?
I was just gonna piggyback real quick off of something she said earlier about, okay, you know, what's your motivate, this with the buyers, and everybody's objecting to interest rates right now. This goes back to buyer motivation. If you have had a good buyer consult, you should be able to talk them off that ledge every
Right.
day. So what you're telling me is you really don't need a place where the kids can play in the backyard, or you're telling me that you're okay with how fast the neighbor's been driving up and down the street. You're just gonna stay here until the interest rates get better. That's what you're telling me. And then you've hit them at that emotional hot button that makes the interest rate seem so much, and I hate pointing at Sarah, it's like it's her fault. But it'll make the interest rate seem like a smaller deal,
Right.
coupled with the conversation of date the rate, buy the house, excuse me. Yes, date the rate, buy the house. Want to make sure I said that right.
There you go.
Because, yeah, marry the house. Well,
Yeah.
pump the brakes there. But just be mindful of that if we've done a proper client consult, we should be able to walk around the interest rate objection.
And if you build that relationship, then you're going to know what their motivation is. If you build that rapport with them, you're going to know what their motivation is.
I want to shoot an arrow to type both of those together. How do you create relationships? Somebody say something. This is a really easy one. I need this for my day not to suck. How do you do it? You talk to people. If you don't want to talk to people, what can you do to get confident enough to talk to people?
Practice.
Practice. If you do those things, you can have a consult. If you have a consult, you can turn a transaction into a relationship. If you're not willing to do those things, I have really bad news. You're just going to do transactions. If you're not willing to talk to them, of course, it's going to feel like transactions because that's what you're doing.
And if you're just doing transactions, you won't end up like Nate ended up with the client that doesn't like his property because of what he's found out about. And guess what Nate did? He sold the property and made money, or excuse me, sold it to them and made money. Now he's gonna turn around and sell it again and make money. And guess what they're probably gonna do? They're probably gonna go find another piece of property because he kept in contact with them, because he built that relationship.
You guys catch that? So like, I'm assuming it closed, so I might be stepping on a landmine here.
Well, the buy closed, I'm just now listing it.
So they
yes.
bought it, you closed on it. They don't like it, they're selling it
Yeah.
with you.
Mhm.
Everybody catch that? Bought something they didn't like. Went back to the guy that sold it to them,
Didn't blame it on him.
didn't blame it on him, now they're selling it because there's a relationship there.
One thing I also want to interject with that is, I feel like I built really good rapport with people, but for some reason, these clients, I just felt like it soured a little bit. They needed to send proof of pre-qualification. And we submitted the offer, and the other agent, I told them that they had it and that we would send it to them the next day, and then they didn't have it the next day, and then there was a holiday, and then it was a couple days later, and I'm like, guys, I have to send this over to the listing agent. Like I promised the listing agent this, and I feel like that kind of soured the relationship a little bit, but I stayed in it just like I would anyone else. And then when I closed, I thought, I'm probably never, you know, it still felt a little weird. I thought I'm probably never gonna talk to these folks again. And then here it is, a couple months later, and now they're listing the property.
And you guys are gonna be fired up.
But I will also tell you, don't overthink that. You know, if you think I may have soured the relationship, do your job, carry it through, Because guess what you were doing? You were doing your fiduciary responsibility to that client to make sure you got the correct paperwork to the agent on the other side so we don't lose this deal. That's your job.
Something I add to
I'm
conversations.
so sorry. Nate, do you know the thing that you did that made it not sucky? What made it not feel sour? I want everyone else to just take this, because it's the same thing over and over and over, and it's the thing that we keep talking about over and over and over.
I think just showing up well for people and actually caring about them, caring about the transaction, caring about their best interest. I think that comes across to people.
Doing your job.
Doing what you say we're gonna do.
You just did it. They might not like this, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they're gonna like this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I think they're gonna yell at me, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Something that I heard too was, you're never gonna get fired for over communicating. You will get fired for not communicating.
Yes.
So just follow up with, like, don't be scared. If they're working with you, it's because they trust you and they want to have a relationship with you and they want you to represent them. So don't be scared to pick up the phone. And something I add to my clients whenever I talk to them on the phone, I always say, how can I help? What feedback do you have for me? Am I missing something? Is there something I haven't done that you want me or need me to do? Because, and I tell them from the buyer's consult, I tell them, if at any point in time I'm missing the mark on something, please let me know, because I want to be a better agent, and I cannot be a better agent if you don't tell me where I'm failing. So just make it a habit. Don't be scared to get constructive criticism. If they tell you like, oh, I didn't like how you said this, or just apologize and say, I'll do better, and then do better.
And also on the heels of that, I would also tell them they're in that console, you don't know what you don't know. So don't be afraid to ask me any stinking question that you want, because I may think something is simple and it may be, you may not be able to get it through your brain. I understand you don't know what you don't know. So ask me those questions. You're hiring me for a reason. Let me do my job.
Want to make sure you guys heard the inverse of that. You don't know what you don't know. And if you don't ask your clients what you don't know, you won't find out. That is the whole point in a buyer's and seller console.
Correct.
It's the whole point. And please, like, internalize this as hard as you can. They're going to transact. It is a transaction. They're going to sell. Someone is going to help them. They need you to know your job.
They put their hand up in the air already, said, come help me.
Don't feel bad about reaching out because you're gonna feel salesy. Dude, I've been there. It sucks. Everyone goes through it. They're gonna do it. Like, mindset is so important, and they talk about it so much at family reunion, because simply put, we are the reason we're not making money.
Because Nate, let me ask you this question. So if you had the conversation going into it that said, hey, you don't know what you don't know, keep me posted about what it is. And then you were able to say, hey, we had the conversation, you don't know what you don't know. This is really a tight spot for us, because we need to get that pre-approval letter to the seller, because they have the opportunity to cancel this deal until we've got it, because we promised that they would have it. Not trying to, I don't know that you want to present it that way, but this is more about, remember those things I said that we might need to take care of? This is that time.
And something, write your goals down, put them in front of you, see them every day. Like, I have the amount of volume I want to make in front of me, how many transactions I need to have in front of me. I have my 4 quadrants in front of me, which if you haven't done, talk to Rachel. It's the best exercise you can do to really narrow down what your 5-year goals are. And just look at them every day. Every day I come into my office, that's what I look at. And you need to be competitive with yourself, not with others, but with yourself. When I first started, I was comparing myself to many agents who started at the same time as I was. And that robbed me from doing the things that I needed to be doing. Be competitive with yourself, because at the end of the day, it's about you and your business. So just write your goals down. You're 40 something, I don't know the exact number, but you're 40 something % more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down.
You're 100% likely to hit them if you do it.
So just write them down and do the things. And if you guys are interested in going to places like Family Reunion and Mega Camp, we have an educational fund. If you guys are interested in saving that money, because it's a lot of money out of pocket, talk to Landon. You can take money out of your closings, whether it's $50, $100, whatever it might be, and put them in your educational fund. They just have to clear at the end of the year, but you can set that money aside. And when the time comes, you can use it for whatever training you want. And if you don't want to go to that, that's fine. You can use it for things like the classes in St. Louis or whatnot. And that way you're not feeling like you're putting money out up front. Yeah, all at
And
once.
mega camp is in August and it's less expensive than family reunion. And it's more,
It's more numbers.
yeah, it's more classes. Yeah, so, and big classes. So, so you kind of have that energy of the people all around you. You kind of get that.
And it's the people that, normally it's the people that also go to family reunion that are going to be at mega camp.
People that
So,
are taking action and going to the places to learn
Yeah.
things.
We're going, aren't we?
yep.
Sensing a theme with you today, Blake. I
Yeah,
can't
I
quite put my
just-
finger on it.
So, okay.
We're all very fired up,
And then
guys.
this is it, because I can be here till 11 and I don't want it to lose its like. Who here knows why they don't want to talk to people? Like you could think of one sentence as to why you're not making the phone calls or you're not doing the open houses or whatever. I'm not asking you to say it out loud. I'm not gonna ask you to share it with me. Can anybody think of that?
Yeah.
Cool. Text Shanna right now. I saw some heads nod, so I know who you are, and I will find you, text her right now so she can educate you on that thing, and then watch what happens. You just gotta do it right now. I mean, like, now. I need someone to text it. Andres,
I don't
you're
have my
drinking something,
phone.
text her. Text her the reason, like whatever, so she knows exactly how to help you. My biggest takeaway from family reunion is you can't motivate, but you can lead the motivated.
Oof.
And that should really be a gut punch
Yeah.
here. Because Shanna wants to help everyone here. If you are not willing to do this stuff, she literally doesn't know how to help.
Right.
And she cannot motivate you to want help.
Is that kind of like the old horse to water
Right.
adage?
1000%. So please be moving.
So be thirsty.
You can't want it more for you than you want it for yourself.
That's right.
Do you guys have any questions?
I'm checking your phone, Andres.
I will say though, like, I went to another brokerage, came to Keller Williams. I came here and there's all this information overwhelming, blah, blah, until I started speaking up about what my problems were, where my faults were. And then also getting everyone in the room saying, you think I don't procrastinate? Because I thought I was the only one. Until I started speaking up, I couldn't find solutions. And I think that's really the ask questions is also admitting faults. And that's what you guys have really been doing too, is like, I also, I want my schedule to look like some of these pretty schedules that everybody has where they just go to event. And so I've been really working on building that this last year, but until I admitted that I suck at that and scheduled the meeting with somebody who was better at it than me, I couldn't start fixing it.
You guys
So
only get the help you ask for. You
Yeah.
realize that, right?
admit the faults. Shanna can't help you fix it if she doesn't know it's a problem.
Well, I've been part of this company for, well, our 20-year anniversary of this office is in April, but so for 20 years. And this has always been one of those, this has always been a saying, I think you could probably still find it somewhere, fail forward.
Yeah.
Failure is fuel.
Failure is the most information-rich thing that you can have. It shows you everything that you need to do like one more.
But can you have true success without failure?
Literally impossible.
Literally impossible.
It's impossible. I have to go. Please be here in a year, guys. I mean that like, because this year is gonna be tough and it's gonna be really hard.
Yep.
And if you don't do something, you won't be here. You're gonna have to find another job. So if you're not willing to text Shanna right now and say, this is the part that I'm having a problem with, that's what a motivated person would do. You should probably start looking for another job. And I don't say that to be rude or mean, but like, don't bleed all your money out. So then you're really screwed. If you're not gonna take action to talk to people, like set yourself up. Please.
Okay, guys, I know we ran long today. I just want to make sure she actually got it on the camera. Well, it's 10:30. I know you guys have script stuff. Are you staying for that script stuff? Because I've got, all right.
Hey, two things I want to say real quick is Shanna has mentioned this before. It's, someone is in real estate and then they say, I've got to go get a job because I'm not making enough money in real estate. And so I'm going to go work 40 hours somewhere else. If you would have worked 40 hours a week at
Right.
real estate,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't be needing to go get a different job.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. And then one last thing is, when you run into something and you not sure that it went well, or you have an objection and you handled it one way, then call someone else, text someone else and say, hey, here's what the client said, or here's what the situation was. How would you have handled it? And everyone that you call or text or talk to will have a little bit different way of handling it. But now you've got all those other ways loaded in your tool belt so that next time that same situation happens,
you'll have a few different ways that you can go.
Well, it's like attending my contract class versus Jim's contract class. We teach it differently. I'm gonna point out certain things that Jim might point out a different way. So that's a great point. That's why you take classes over and over again.
Charge the storm, guys.
Love it.
Be Buffalo. Thanks for that. Thanks for the day, team.
No, I just reached out. Well, first of all, my seller